So this video is a re-upload of an old video that I did last year, and I had to redo it in a lot of ways because it was blocked in some countries for various reasons. So I decided, hey, I'm going to do a new edit of it and re-upload it. And if you want to see more of these re-uploads of the older reviews like this, let me know in the comments down below and I'll do it. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Anyway, enjoy the update of this old review. And keep in mind, the quality is not as good as the newer reviews of today. Enjoy. Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews. I'm your host, Matt Spease, and today we are looking at Hellraiser, released in 1987. Hellraiser was one of those films similar to A Nightmare on Elm Street that was a game changer to the slasher genre as a whole. We had seen groups of villains, such as the Sawyers in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it just wasn't one killer, it was a family of killers. But in this one, it was, whereas in the Sawyers we had 3, this we were getting 4, and they were badass demons from hell known as Cinnabides. And one of those was a female, and I'll get to that later on. But before I talk about any of the acting or actors in this one, I would like to talk about, as I always do, the amazing score that was composed for this film by Christopher Young. Christopher Young did an amazing job on this music. So his music is so much a part of this series as much as the Halloween theme is to Halloween, in the same way that the Nightmare on Elm Street, theme is a part of it. It was such a great overarching theme to this film, and it's just amazing. It sets the mood right from the opening title credits and lets you know this is going to be something different and unique and badass. Now, the first 2 people I want to talk about in the cast are, of course, Andrew Robinson and Claire Higgins, playing the roles of Larry and Julia. Andrew Robinson, before this film, was famous for being the main villain alongside Clint Eastwood in the first Dirty Harry movie. And he was so effective in that film, in that role. And that just cemented him as this really effective, really good actor at playing these kind of crazy characters and stuff. And then a year before Hellraiser came out, he did another role in which he played a bureaucratic cop character alongside Sylvester Stallone. in Cobra in 1986. And there's a difference in both of those roles because, you know, you get this bureaucratic asshole that he plays in Cobra, and then you have this really psychotic nut job that he's playing in Dirty Harry. And it just shows the range that the guy has. He can do any role. And in this, it's no different because, I mean, and when he starts off this movie playing Larry, he is the kind, sweet father to Kirsty. And so it is a trip getting to see him playing this likable, nice guy. And then, of course, later on when, you know, the character is killed, Larry is killed, and then Frank takes his skin, then he goes into his more sinister portrayal. And it's different than what he did on Dirty Harry on this film, you know. And it's definitely different than his role in Cobra. But he was so good in this role. It's just a shame that in that final scene with his character that he does die, and we don't get to see a return of Andrew Robinson ever in the future Hellraiser sequels, because he was so good in this film. Such an amazing actor. I don't think the man gets enough credit as far as what he can do as an actor. He's such a great actor. And that last scene when he's ripped apart with the chains. Jesus wept. I mean, that was cool. Smiling and evil to the end, Frank was. And I'll get to the real Frank later on, but right now I want to move to Julie. Because Julia was played by Claire Higgins, and Claire Higgins does a amazing job with this character. She is sometimes really sexy, really hot as this character, and you can almost see where why Frank is doing what he's doing, because, you know, this is pretty hot, you know. And she's so good at just playing the bitch. And it's just a shame that Claire Higgins, she's like the Jim Sido was to Texas Chainsaw 1 and 2. She is to Hellraiser 1 and 2. It's just a shame she never got anything really, really this good in any future films. And she did numerous films. I mean, she's got over 40 movie credits to her name, but nothing ever was as lasting and as memorable as the role of Julia. And that's a shame because, I mean, she is so talented and so good in this. I absolutely loved her in the film. And then we get to our main final girl. Ashley Lawrence as Kirsty she's right up there in my top final girls list. She's just under Heather Langenkamp as Nancy Thompson in Nightmare on Elm Street. And no, Nancy Thompson is not number one on that list. She's a little ways down. But someday soon, maybe I will do a video and let you know what my rankings are, so you'll know who my numbers 1, 2, 3, and all that is. Top 10. But Ashley is so good in this role. She's such a beautiful actress to begin with. So she catches your attention just with her beauty, and then she can act too. Her performance acting with Andrew when he's actually not Frank, when he's actually Larry, her father. They have really great chemistry together in those scenes and everything. And Julie, even though she's a bitch to her throughout this story, Claire Higgins and her have really good chemistry together too. So that's what makes their scenes together so good, especially whenever Frank takes over, and takes Larry's skin and starts pretending to be Larry and everything. And it's Andrew Robinson just being sinister around his daughter, which before we were seeing him being so sweet with her and everything. So it's such a cool film, this is. So right now, I'm going to move from Ashley. She was so good in this role. But now I'm going to move on to another actor that was really good in their role, and they weren't really in it as much. And that was Frank himself. And he was played, and I never really realized that until I did my research. But he was actually played by 2 people in this film. Yeah, technically 3 if you count Andrew Robinson's portrayal of Frank after Larry is killed. Sean Chapman plays the human version of Frank at the very beginning before he is skinned by Pinhead and his fellow Cinnabites. And he's a really handsome, good-looking guy, so it makes you kind of, he's cool-looking, and kind of makes you, look at him, even though the character is a major prick in the film, but his performance is really good playing him, and then he is skinned and turned to basically a muscle texture, and he is then played by Oliver Smith. And Oliver Smith's portrayal of the character when he's skinless is so good. That's why I never realized it was 2 different actors playing the role. I figured it was just, it was Chapman in the makeup and everything, but it wasn't. And the voice is very similar, so Oliver did a great job sounding just like him and everything. So that's one of the reasons I was like, whoa, really? They were 2 different actors? Cool, But it is a shame, though, we never got more Frank in the Hellraiser series, because I think the character was a very interesting character that could have been in the future films and everything a lot more. Julia in this is just unbelievable, as is Frank in any guise that you have of him, whether it's his original human form, whether it's his skinless form, or whether it's the Andrew Robinson final Larry form. Um, the the character is very good. It's a very interesting, cool character in the story. So now that I've gotten through all of the basically human characters in the story, it's time to talk about those Cinnabites. Number one, of course, is Doug Bradley as Pinhead. He is just amazing with his portrayal here. His voice is just perfect for this character. When he says the lines like, "We have such sights to show you," you're interested. You're into it. You know. Funnily enough, when he was shooting the film, the black contacts that, you know, he had to wear as the character, he could not hardly see when he was playing the character. So, well, he had a hard time while shooting this film because he was like, you know, basically afraid because of the little, the outfit that he wore. It had that long ass, almost like a dress kind of a thing to it, and he didn't want to trip over that while walking because he could not see. You know, his visibility was really bad because of the contacts. So that's a nice bit of trivia that I thought was pretty funny. That you see him as this great threat throughout the movie, and you never realize that half the time in the scenes, Doug Bradley is like, I can't fucking see. So, but he stuck with it. I got to give the guy credit. I mean, he didn't let it show a lot of it, and he just fought through it and still portrayed that character in such a kick-ass manner.
The box. You opened it. We came. We will tear your soul apart.
The other memorable, most memorable character amongst the Cinnabites, other than Pinhead, was the female Cinnabide, as played by Grace Kirby. She has been more recently called Deep Throat because her throat area ripped open and pulled back the way it is. But during the initial run of the first movie in 1987, she wasn't really known as that. She was just known as the female Cinnabide. I think it was cool that they finally eventually, you know, gave her a name, because all the other ones have names, you know. So, she is almost like the female version of Pinhead. She looks cool and she sounds badass when she talks. So I think her performance was damn good in this role. And then the other more memorable of the final two was probably Chatterer, because how creepy he looked with that whole the teeth just constantly just chattering, almost like one of those walking teeth things that just, and he's basically got it in his face, basically. So he was pretty cool looking. He wasn't really that impressive as far as his performance goes, but he looked cool. Butterball, he was there. Not much I can say about him. He's fine for what he is, but nothing of note with him. He's the big, you know, the heavier set of the Cinnabites, and, you know, just looks really weird, you know. So yeah, other than Butterball just not really being a very spectacular Cinnabide amongst the four. But you can't win them all, right? I mean, 3 of them were pretty cool. The film was shot through New World Pictures for $900,000. And it is quite impressive what they did with that $900,000. I mean, the effects, like the effects on Frank, the effects on the Cinnabites, all of it. The puzzle box was an interesting, really kick-ass thing in the story, and it's just everything as far as that was perfect. I just wish New World Pictures had not later on went with changing the location, because they originally shot it in England, and a lot of the actors were talking with their actual British accents. So later, you know, New World Pictures, you know, told Clive Barker to that they wanted it to take place in America, and it's bullshit. You can tell it's not in America. It still looks like it's England. I don't care how much dubbing you do, because what is great in the film is great. Like I said, the effects, there's no dated bad effects in this thing, like that hinder it, like Nightmare on Elm Street. So my rating for Hellraiser is 9.5. It is close to a perfect film. Clive Barker nearly made that perfect Tobe Hooper film, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But it kind of misses the mark because of the whole, and that's not Clive Barker's fault. I don't blame Clive Barker for that at all. He made, I would love to see it, you know, the film actually reinstated and made back into, you know, England, and not made to where it's supposed to be taking place in America. So other than that, and a really lackluster character with Butterball in there, the rest of the film was great, and it's so close to being the perfect horror film. And it's not Clive Barker's fault at all, except for the Butterball. And that Butterball thing would probably not have affected it as much as the change in the location from England to America after the fact. You've shot it in England. Leave it in fucking England. So that's my review for Hellraiser. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next review.